Now 2022 was easily one of the best years for anime as well as the manga it originated from, with MAPPA being MAPPA, further revolutionizing animation with hits like Chainsaw Man and Attack on Titan, to the resurgence of the legendary iconic Shonen Big 3 like Bleach's Thousand Blood Year War arc and Naruto's jaw-dropping 20th anniversary remake. And we also can't forget the major warlike arcs that played out across new gen manga and the ending of some of the great ones. Overall, this was a banger year for anime. But compared to last year, I think it's safe to say shonen anime and manga hard carried, especially with hype. But what shonen animanga is deserving of the title Anime of the Year, which anime transcends all others and can be considered the peak throughout the 4 anime seasons of 2022, or at least in my eyes. Well, that's the exact topic of today's video. I'll just take a look at the great catalog of shonen animanga featured in 2022 to determine which one dominated such a great year for the genre, as well as reviewing and giving a general ranking of the anime and mangas released throughout the year. What's good, YouTube? It's this for Anime. Hope you're having a nice day, and make sure to leave a comment down below on your top anime manga of the year. Without further ado, into the video, or rather the gauntlet. Now for starters, there was over 30 manga published in the weekly Shonen Jump magazine in 2022, not counting Shonen Jump Plus. And with that, only around 10 or more of them actually had anime aired this year. And that includes animes for finished manga like Demon Slayer Season 2 and Bleach's Thousand Year Blood War arc. And in this huge shonen lineup, we have a lot of pretenders, some contenders, and only a few actually series candidates. So I would say my criteria for series candidates and eventually my shonen anime manga of the year isn't too specific or exclusive. I believe to be considered the shonen anime manga of the year, a series has to have an impact in both the anime and manga field that peaks all the other series in that specific year. Now hearing that criteria might disqualify or even qualify your pick of anime manga of the year, but we're still gonna play it out. And to be fair, I personally didn't watch or read every single anime/manga under the shonen brand in 2022, but it was like a lot of them, and with some of these manga getting cancelled left and right, shout out to Yashimon, you can't really invest yourselves in anything that hasn't already ran for a majority of the year, even that would be considered safe. So don't give me that, oh, he hasn't read everything so I can even rank it, aka I haven't read your secret love chat of a manga that has like 30 chapters. I do have a life, but trust me, I've watched/read the ones I need to. Okay, for the pretenders category, which is to no one's surprise the by far largest category in the magazine, we have every single series not mentioned in the contenders or candidates category. That's right, like almost all of it. But I do want to make some quick honorable mentions to some manga that didn't make the cut, like Blue Box, not Blue Lock, Blue Box, a romance sports manga with over 80 chapters that brings a refreshing feel to the magazine, as well as Sakamoto Days, a manga that I've definitely seen a rise in popularity, sales, and hype, and reached 100 chapters recently, and from what I can tell, the story and the narratives have been really heating up, so it's definitely something I need to catch up on. I also know Akane Banashi is getting there as a comedy manga in the magazine. Unlike the absolute joke of a manga of me and Roboko, and say what you want about a series whose only sole purpose is to parody more popular anime, I just can't respect it. Also, huge props to Undead Unluck and Mashle Magic and Muscles on getting anime announced. 2 exciting shonen manga I started a while ago, who have been running for a while now, even to the point where their authors have already hinted at the end of the series. So only time will tell on the series regarding their endings, but they are definitely, along with an explosive battle manga like Kaiju No. 8, going to be new pillars of the shonen anime manga space. Series like Mission Yozakura Family and Elusive Samurai are still there, and have definitely solidified its place in the magazine, but I don't see them getting an anime anytime soon. But that summarizes the pretender category because everything on the contender and above category kinda clears. Okay, so this category includes series that I deem to clearly have a following able to generate hype in the genre throughout the year, whether it be in the anime and manga field, and just series in general that are a step above those in the pretender category and just up there. A series like Dr. Stone, a long-time shonen stand-in that has just ended with the manga and has a few seasons of the anime to go. So despite its ending and decent popularity, it's obviously not a series candidate for any manga of the year, but props to the author for ending the series so beautifully and seamlessly. We also have Black Clover and Jujutsu Kaisen in here, both personal favorites of mine, and they're actually in my top 10 anime of all time after this year. Well, they spent the year of 2022 producing major endgame-like banger arcs such as the Space Kingdom raid arc from Black Clover, where the GOAT MC Asta had to reach a new peak of power to defeat what we thought to be the strongest and ultimate villain in the Devil King Lucifero. And we can't forget about the Culling Games from JJK, an arc where our favorite main characters enter a death tournament orchestrated by the master villain, which results in some of the best fights we've seen in the series. Now I can go deep into each of these arcs, and trust me, I mean deep, well, pause, further showcasing their respective greatness, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to sum up their placement into this category on the fact they just don't have an anime out this year. Like I said earlier, I believe you need to have a significant impact on both the anime and manga field to be considered the animanga of the year in my eyes. And while these arcs were both heavily significant for their series, I don't believe they've reached, or in JJK's case, have yet reached a transcendent height of hype or just storytelling in general that we would give to arcs like Pains of Soul from Naruto, or the Soul Society arc from Bleach, or just any other undeniable top 10 shonen arc to be able to place their series in series candidates for top animanga of the year with no anime. Because I would have definitely strongly considered a JJK season 1 plus the second half of Shibuya type year of JJK to have put them at the peak of 2020/2021. But again, no anime this year for either. We next have Boruto, one of the 2 monthly manga of the magazine, and if I'm being honest, it's a series that is definitely in the low tier of contenders. I mean, with Boruto, we got a year of filler anime, or anime canon according to the fans, which I understand, especially after getting an anime of the year performance in 2021 with the banger adaptation of the Ishiki/Jigen ordeal. But even with the manga, we had a month break midway, which totaled to 2 months without the Boruto manga, and from what I see, no matter how many times the writers might hint at it, we are nowhere near the time skip. And speaking from personal experience, I can't remember the last time I was genuinely excited to read a Boruto chapter since the whole ordeal of Scuffle with Code, which led to Boruto ultimately becoming a Shipley donut in the aftermath of that. Which is kind of the only reason I'm even considering it as a contender. And yeah, I understand that they're building and developing the plot for now with Ada and Damon, and that's cool and all, but no one's getting anime of the year with a year of filler in the anime, and with the majority of the year's manga feeling like a romance or slice of life parody. Yeah, it's just not happening. Next in this category, we have Spy X Family and JoJo Bizarre's Adventure Stone Ocean, easily 2 of the most inconsistent contenders. Because sure, while everyone loves to see those funny Anya memes floating around and talk about how she can steal your favorite verse, but be honest with yourself and think about the last time you've actually watched a Spy X Family episode or read a chapter from the manga. You haven't. I mean, this anime might have had one of the biggest fall-offs I've ever seen, considering that, believe it or not, it is still airing. Yes, Spy X Family is still airing, and that is something I just don't think most people have noticed, because compared to the absolutely explosive hype for its part 1, or even just for the first 2 episodes, and I'm not surprised, it looked nice and I actually enjoyed it, it has now kind of been forgotten, which is insane, because this anime actually managed to grow to be one of the most popular ones at the time, and actually of the entire year. And if it wasn't for that huge trend of popularity its first part garnered, it probably would even be in this category. And I got my hands up as I'm recording this for the Anya fans. I don't mean any hate, because it's a cute, funny anime with some decent and consistent animation, as well as storylines that are easy to fall in love with, just not a consistent following. But when it comes to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, oh, I'm definitely hating. Just saying, if you fix your schedule, maybe it could have been a series candidate, I don't know. Technically that's Netflix's fault, but yeah, just no. But I will admit, that animation along with the opening got me twerking sometimes, and no pause on that. Now the last anime in this category is regrettably, and trust me, regrettably, Demon Slayer or Kimetsu no Yaiba. Probably the only anime I'm willing to remember its Japanese name, even though it has an English one. To be honest, cause it's Demon Slayer, and if you don't know, you should know what it brings to the table, I don't feel like I need to harp much on its continued greatness through season 2, because trust me, it's greatness that we're witnessing, and we can't even put that all in the animation, cause even though it's obviously a huge factor, Demon Slayer aka Kimetsu no Yaiba just has a banger cast of characters to begin with, and it's a cast that's going to continue to be featured as more of the manga is adapted into the anime. But unfortunately, this particular jaw-dropping banger of an anime falls to the winter anime curse, so I can't really put into the candidate category because a huge majority of the season premiered near the end of 2021, and I do have to stay true to my word of the animanga of the year having to have an impact on the manga field. And as of the recording of this video, Demon Slayer's manga wrapped up around 2 years ago. Now with all that said, and major props given to every single series in the contender category, with the exception of JoJo's, moving on to series candidates. Finally, in the category for the series candidates for my Shonen animanga of the year, and the primary reason behind their placement in this category is that these are series I could all see as being Shonen animanga of the year with a solid argument for each of them. But of course, only one of these series can actually attain the title, so let's just get down to it. So it's only right we start off the category with the oldest and one of the longest running series in the magazine, the adventurous, epic, everlasting One Piece. Now besides those funny the One Piece's real memes that circulate around the internet throughout the entire year, that's not the only reason One Piece broke the internet. I mean, One Piece really managed to trend everywhere at the highest levels for both the anime's epic adaptation of the major peak Wano arc, and of course Luffy's new explosive transformation in Gear 5 in the manga. It all was a new high for the franchise. And while I haven't been on this earth for a crazy amount of time, and technically One Piece as a series is older than me, I just don't think I've seen or even heard of an anime or manga that has gone on for that long and dominated or at least stayed near the top of the manga sales of popularity. It just hasn't been done. Needless to say, One Piece is that anime and had an amazing year. Sticking with the respecting the OG's trend, we next have Bleach's new anime adaptation of the 1000-Year Blood War arc, even though it's pretty hard to tell it's an OG judging by its ultra fresh animation art style. And for someone who just started the Bleach experience this year and I'm just caught up with the anime, I mean, I regret every single doubt I ever had regarding the series and his big three standing. And trust me, I was going crazy with the detergent takes or Bleach is the big three's little bro. And I know my criteria involves an impact in both the anime and manga fields, but I'm willing to make an exception for this series and hype train that is Bleach. The anime adaptation of the 1000-Year Blood War arc's first half is one of the best anime adaptations of a manga I've ever seen. The popularity and hype within the fandom is obviously still there, despite the manga being long finished, and it was beautiful to see the return of the anime bring the modern day iconic big three to full circle. Overall, Bleach, like One Piece, will forever be a pillar and example of the shonen genre, and is also that anime, but is the anime of the year. Anyway, it's definitely a solid series candidate. One instant transmission later and we have Dragon Ball Super, which may be a shock to some, mainly because the series hasn't actually aired in anime since the peak tournament power we got in early 2018 and the Super Broly movie later that year. But in place for an anime this year, we got a revolutionary CGI movie in Dragon Ball Super Superhero. And this was a movie that signaled a change in the franchise with Gohan and Piccolo taking the reins, as Goku and Vegeta kinda took a step back. Overall, the movie was a great one in my eyes, with it playing into what Dragon Ball Super does best, with its hype, nostalgia, and the visuals, and received some pretty good reviews. And the manga wasn't at all far behind with the hype, as the ultimate villain in Frieza making his return, and he's black now. And bruh, my gosh, I couldn't stop laughing at the amount of memes and clips from Frieza being blatantly racist, calling Goku and Vegeta monkeys, and just for him to come back with a black Frieza form and absolutely destroy Goku and Vegeta at their strongest. I mean, Frieza really did come full circle with that one. And yeah, it definitely revived the series for a lot of people, especially after the decent Granola arc started to die down. And Frieza, well, that's just one character who always figures out a way to draw all the attention on him when he steps on the scene. But yeah, it had a great year despite the manga hiatus, which took close to like a third of the year. And then there was the schoolboy spectator turned into the main character in My Hero Academia. For a series that is currently in its final war arc, which is most likely the final and arguably the biggest arc of the series, and the current anime season adapting the first war arc, which is undeniably the biggest arc, why am I finding it kinda hard or at least uneasy to place the series as a series candidate for any manga of the year, even though it should by all means be a shoo-in? I think it comes down to the season 6 adaptation of the war arc and the quality of the current manga storytelling. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not a part of a huge handful of the fandom that screams to the top of their lungs every other Saturday complaining about the animation quality in season 6 war arc, because there's only so much an animation company like Bones can do when you have so many big and iconic moments to adapt. So obviously now all of your favorites from the war arc is going to be adapted with top tier godlike animation. But I'm also not going to sit here and act like the criticism is baseless. I mean, why is it that I find myself going back to previous seasons in their biggest moments that are nowhere near the biggest moments of the war arc in importance, and noticing that their animation and overall adaptation is like high quality compared to what we're getting now? I mean, I shouldn't be praising fights like Deku vs Todoroki, or even Deku vs Bakugo in their adaptation over war arc fights like Deku vs Shigaraki, or moments like Bakugo's sacrifice and Aizawa having to cut off his leg, and many other moments that were just not fleshed out when comparing the previous adaptations earlier in the series when they had less resources. It overall just isn't a good look for the series, especially with the non-anime onlys, who are hoping for the same hype from the manga to be carried over or even multiplied in the anime. Now, while it does have its good moments, it makes up for the animation with stuff like sequencing, sound effects, the voice actors, the OST, and just the audio in general. And to be fair, Horikoshi does not make this easy with some of the best shonen manga art I've seen in New Gen coming from this arc. The adaptation is still lacking, and I definitely think they should have taken more time on it considering that they just dropped an underwhelming season in a fire movie just last year. Now, it's kind of sad to say, but My Hero Academia was definitely carried by its manga with its final war arc. Now, I do also have my critiques for this arc, as I believe there's just way too much going on with way too many characters, and with those characters, a lot of character arcs that still need to be more developed, but still this arc is definitely meeting and even surpassing my expectations and hype. I'd love to talk more on the arc, which had a pretty good setup during 2021, but for being honest, I'm behind a few chapters. But I am caught up enough to talk about one of the biggest, if not the biggest moments in the series, Bakugo's supposed death. Now this supposed death is one of the very few times where I saw spoilers trend at the highest level, as well as a fandom be thrown in absolute disarray. I mean, anime only or not, no one was escaping from this one spoiler. From people crying their hearts out in Bakugo dedicated Twitter spaces, to people dropping the series entirely. I mean, it felt like an anime apocalypse. This one moment, as well as its build up and aftermath, was definitely a peak of storytelling in My Hero Academia 2022. But that's enough attention on the iconic New Gen series, not to a series that is entirely 100% new, well, something, and continues to boggle everyone's minds with its plot, especially its main character. You probably already guessed it, the one and only Chainsaw Man, the MC who is probably the most horny and yet the most captivating. But yeah, the series Chainsaw Man was one of the most anticipated animes of 2022, and for plenty good reason. Let's just say it keeps everyone on their toes constantly. And of course, with it being a MAPPA anime and us already knowing what that god-given animation studio can bring to the table, it did not disappoint mine or anyone's expectations by any means. Giving us an epic anime adaptation as anyone could have hoped or even dreamed for, so no complaints there. Well, to be honest, no complaints anywhere. I mean, I had already read the manga a while ago, but not too recently that I remembered everything that happened, so every once in a while I find myself surprised at some of the anime's certain plot points. Drunk Himeno kidnapping Denji? But Denji as the main character and his actions, they're just so captivating and intriguing in a way that I just can't look away, but in a good way, along with the other interesting cast members and their motivations, like in Power's case, to do whatever Power wants. I mean, the whole plot and the cast as a whole is just so intriguing and interesting and just different to see how they unwind so much important themes throughout the story in such an odd way that boggles everyone, but it's still important and breathtaking nonetheless. This anime is just so good, and like Jujutsu Kaisen, combines the best of Shonen into one new age of New Gen. And of course, it still has its thing going on with the popular part 2 of the manga, even though I haven't really caught up on it. But yeah, that's all I have for Chainsaw Man for now, and a quick shout out to Naruto's 20th anniversary remake, The Road of Naruto. And if you don't already know how I feel about Naruto, well, I can only speak for myself when I say how great it was, how delicious it was, how legendary it was to see my GOAT Naruto reanimated, and the nostalgia was just epic. And just looking at the hype and popularity generated with over 15 million views on YouTube, it just goes to show the influence this legend of the anime still has. But that marks the end of the series candidate category, and now for the series I believe is deserving of the title Animanga of the Year. My Hero Academia, One Piece, Dragon Ball Super, Bleach, and Chainsaw Man. All anime series had a major impact on the anime and manga field in this year, with the exception of Bleach strictly doing a hell of a job with the anime. But only one of these series hit a peak, and was also able to carry that peak throughout the entire year. Cue the drum roll that is Chainsaw Man's power senselessly beating Denji. In that series, the Shonen Animanga of the Year is none other than the Pirate King of anime, One Piece. Also cue the Chainsaw Man and Bleach fan rage. Now this anime perfectly matched the criteria I was looking for in an Animanga of the Year series. And sure, if I was looking at strictly shonen anime, the choice would have probably been a hard one between Bleach or Chainsaw Man for their respective epic anime adaptations. But I was looking for an impact in both the anime and manga field, and One Piece did exactly that. With an anime adaptation of the Wano arc no one can complain of, I mean Luffy vs Kaido looked like the peak of an anime movie. It was probably the best fight adaptation of the year, or at least on par with the peak of the seasonal Demon Slayer. And with the manga too, I mean Luffy's Gear 5 transformation and his defeat of Kaido broke the internet. The hype alone that I've seen this series generated peaks any other series of this year, and is hype that was carried from January 1st to December 31st. And you also have to remember that they dropped the movie One Piece Red, which not only made the most money out of any other One Piece movies of all time, but it's the most popular movie in Japan of the entire 2022. I mean, you have a new peak in the anime, and it's just not Luffy vs Kaido, but other big moments that were done justice. A manga that broke the fandom of anime as a whole, cause I know them Naruto fans was chirping when the spoilers came out, and adding one of the most popular anime movies of all time. And the storytelling in the post-Wano manga has shown no visible drop in its ability to entertain, which is ultimately what shonen anime was made for, along with making us believe in something greater than ourselves, such as Luffy's dream, something that was beautifully conveyed especially through this year in the anime. 2022 was just One Piece's year, and outside of the Bleach and Chainsaw Man anime, it wasn't even close. They absolutely dominated. Despite the series being over 20 years old, it still reigns as the pirate king of the vast sea of anime. But don't get it wrong, Naruto is still better all the time though. And that's a take I'm willing to argue another day, but there you have it, One Piece is my shonen animanga of the year. Overall, I think shonen as a whole is in a pretty good spot, with the iconic big three still having a great influence on the genre, and with the pillars of new gen like Black Clover and My Hero Academia still having years to come in their endgame phase. and we can only hope that series like Spy X Family, Kaiju number 8, Sakamoto Days, Mashle, and Undead Unluck can continue to spiral upwards as they have been. And you also can't forget the absolute bangers we're going to be getting in 2023 with series that already have finished manga like Bleach, Hell's Paradise, and trust me, that one's a banger, and Demon Slayer. Now, while I acknowledge Naruto's all-time rival One Piece to have conquered this year in the shonen space, I definitely think it still has a rival in my personal rankings in the overall anime of the year. And that is with the non-shonen sports anime that is Blue Lock, another popular series that I would love to talk about some other time. Anyway, this is the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you did. Follow the Twitter at Basically Anime. Turn on post notifications. And most importantly, make sure to comment down below your manga of the year, because I'm actually intrigued on what you guys have to say on the topic and where we different opinion. Anyway, thanks to you guys, we finished out this year strong, and we'll go and explore more throughout the next year. And with all that said, this is the final video of the year, and Naruto is still the greatest anime of all time. Have a nice day.